Today is just a short video going over some IXL staff basics. There'll be several videos in this series going over some different aspects of it that might be of interest to you. So to start, the first thing is when you go to IXL, you're going to want to go up here in the top right corner and sign in. So type in your login information and click sign in. Inside, you're going to see your dashboard for your students. Now, to get to those students, you're going to have loaded them into a class. So let's start with that. My IXL, and go to roster. It's going to have a section here for you to add students. So if you click add students, you can add students in individually. You can click over here and create a class. So if it were me, I'd maybe make one for my extension class and then each of my individual classes if I had a language arts or a math class. You should be able to just start typing in a name and they will appear and you can pick them and it will auto fill in all the information for them. So as you can see here, it has information put in, or you can fill them in. And then if you click here again, you can set up your different classes. If you click manage classes, you can create new classes and adjust things through there, or you can sync with your Google Classroom. And if you click on this link, it's going to take you through the process to add your Google Classrooms into it. And when you're done, now your students are in your rosters, and when you go back to your dashboard, you'll be able to start seeing some information about them. So here you can see my test students have answered a couple things. They haven't done anything this week. The next thing I wanted to kind of talk about is if you click on this analytics, you can go on and click, and it'll show each student where they're at. So here I can see this student's here, and this student has not done enough yet for them to be registered. Now in this one, it's got them both in there. They've both done enough, and it tells you what they should work on. So that's what, if you look at the diagnostic overview, if you go to strand analysis, it's pretty similar. If you go to students, it tells you about your students, and you can go down and look individually what they've done. Click on action plan, and it's going to make a report, and it generates an overall report with everything, that where they're at in each thing, each type, and what they should be working on. And then you could click on that, and it'll take you to some practice for that student. Next thing I wanted to show off from your side is this group jam. So if you're using this in a class, you can click on this and then click one of your classes and then pick a skill. So let's say I'm in language arts, and we'll say I'm grade 11, and I want to work on commas, and go on this, and then I can start this group jam, and when the students join, they're all going to get this same question on their computer, and then you can work on it kind of together and kind of see what everybody's doing and how that's going. So that's kind of nice. If you click on, again, go to my IXL live classroom, this shows you where, if everyone's supposed to be on IXL, it can show you where they're at and what they're looking on. Next, if you go to learning, so let's say I'm a math teacher, and I really want a student or all my students to review nets. That information is in here. And so I can then click on this and share that to my classroom. I can copy the link to this section and just put it in that way into Google Classroom. So there's a lot of ways I can send that. And then if there's a particular skill, so again, let's go to geometry, and let's say that my class or a section of my class is really struggling with angle vocabulary. I can take this skill and now I can share it again in my Google Classroom or in my, either via link or via clicking on this little button right here. The other way I can send individual things is, let's say I had a math skill that I had, let's go back to geometry, and let's say students were struggling with angle vocabulary. If you click on this star, I can assign it to all students or just all the students in a particular class. And now when those students log back into IXL, it's going to identify that as a skill that I want them to work on. So that's another little neat thing that you can put out there. So then if they're in extension or they're have some downtime and that's something you want them to work on, they can work on that in addition to the any skills the diagnostic says they should work on. The last thing is, if you click on Ohio State Standards, it kind of breaks things down by standards on Ohio, and it has some textbooks that are commonly used here in Ohio. So if you use some portions of one of these textbooks, you may find a way to easily kind of branch those up together. So IXL, finally, the last thing is, of course, you can ask if you need help or if you're not sure of how to do something, but they also have this e-learning library or the Learning Hub. They have this Learning Hub, and it has some lesson plans and videos that they've put together, and they're fairly concise and kind of useful. So that's kind of it for the staff basics. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to go over things or try to help you navigate a little bit. But I think it's pretty useful and could be beneficial to your class.